I tripped over a bump while scrolling my phone aimlessly, thoughtlessly. Let me think. What was so interesting that I stayed on my phone for? A border collie owling at a piano. Then, a girl dancing in a miniskirt. Then, a long video about the influence of AI that I added to my favorites, which I knew I would never watch. The spike sting would reside in my wrist for days. A lump emerged in my waist, and hey, I was okay. But I wished to use this as an excuse to take a day off until recalling the fear of my colleagues talking behind my back, the fear of my boss saying that phrase, "Are you sure you can't come?" I patted the dust off and blamed my 28-year-old body. When was the last time I committed to an explosive sprint? Let me think. I was 17. A little boy across the street gripped the edges of his hoodie, raised them above his head, and kept them down. Dandelions. The new drink called Buttercups cost $7. I glanced around. The cafe walls were white, the tables were wooden, and the chairs were egg-shaped. I exited empty-handed and saw the little boy gone. Again, the golden leaves scattered. Again, the lake was frozen. I blinked, and another tree ring appeared. What was it called again? Let me think. Hopscotch. It wasn't printed before the school gate. It was drawn by chalk. Across the street, I sat on the bench, placed my $1 Americano aside, took out my phone, waited for my colleague. The old security guard walked with his hands behind his back, patrolling past the hopscotch board, loitering back to the board with the high schoolers. I peered up from my phone, seeing confusion, hearing giggles, and the security guard kept his hands behind his back. I passed the school daily, having no recollection of the board. Apparently, the high schoolers didn't either, as they hopped, jumped, hopped, and jumped. The security had no recollection, too, but he knew the rules, tossing a pebble into box 1. No one knew the board's existence. One young janitor paused, gazed, yelled at the other janitor, smiled, and gestured. The lower schoolers stomped past it. The math teacher lost her balance, guffawed as the English and history teachers mocked. The middle schoolers hopped with a fist by their waist or chest. A middle-aged maintenance staff member stooped and dangled his limbs and head, with a ladder under his armpit. His left foot braked beside the board, causing his body to incline forward, and then dangling back, dangling his right foot, dangling his face toward the board. Then his body straightened and continued to his side. My colleague arrived, so I straightened my body and followed him to the business meeting. The reverberating clock that alarmed at 6:50. The plastic instant coffee and another overcooked scrambled egg. The Ed Sheeran that leaked off someone's headphone on the bus. The children ran through the red light and were scolded by their parents. The boss stepped on the shoe and left without an apology. The cold ham, lettuce, and tomato. The cigarette room where colleagues desperately thought of new things to say. The receptionist who pretended that she liked blues music too. People, building, cars, walking this way, that way, talking this shit, that shit. Was there solitude? Let me think. No, only loneliness. I raised my head. A sandpaper muffled the natural light bulb, and artificial lights became natural. I turned my head. A high school boy was rubbing away the hopscotch board. He spotted, he grinned, he waved. I smiled back and held up a palm, leaving. Alright, stop. Let me think. Like not knowing a letter was sent to me 15 years ago. How should I know the content within it? The moon from 30 years ago was that bright. Why did no one believe me? There were no street lamps, public transportation, or phone flashlights, only sprints and laughter. Being chased in the schoolyard, being tagged by it. He said, "No, that one doesn't count." I remembered that boy who always cheated. twisting their ankle, or falling from the basketball goal. The mockery by the friends was more irritating than the pain. Now, even shaving requires a deep breath. I waved at the high school boy and walked across the street, neglecting the red light. He chuckled, but he already scrubbed the floor. I shrugged and nodded, smiling, and he smiled, drawing the hopscotch board again. After the game, I would run home and yell, "Mom!" She would place a plate of chocolate chip cookies as she listened. I would demolish the cookies as I recount. She thought my story was childish, accounting awaited her, but she listened as her eyes curved so meekly that my eyes pulled. So, at the vacant bus stop, I called my mother, and a bus full of children returning from their field trip arrived. And on my lonely lawn, a yellow envelope lingered out of the mailbox. I sat at my computer, placed a mug of hot chocolate beside the keyboard, and opened the letter. "Hey, this is Henry James, the kid who never lost a game of tag, remember? I met your father at the restaurant recently. He hasn't changed a bit. It's been a while. How are you doing, man? I'm actually getting married on November 12th. Feel free to come. The address is at the bottom." I leaned back, my legs straightened beneath the table, and I reclined my head onto my folded palms, smiling at the dusty comic book under a pile of marketing studies. I have work on November 12th, so let me think. And that's it for the story. Thank you for reading. I was immediately inspired by this video that I saw on TikTok. I wouldn't call this story based on real life, but I'm sure we all have gone through what the protagonists have gone through. So, I guess this is a story based on real life to all of us.